Welcome everyone. We are live from Apex One, New Jersey, Sim Racing Lounge located in Westfield, New Jersey. This is week 5 of our Formula One Sim Racing League. So this league is in the Lotus 72D. This is week 5 of 6. We are now at Miami International Autodrome. So we have 5 drivers on the grid today. We've just concluded our qualifying session. It was an 8-minute qualifying session. So now we are about to start the race. Looks like we have, you guys aren't able to see, but we have 3 minutes left until the race start. So all drivers are currently waiting on the grid, waiting to get started. Looks like we have Jamie qualifying in first. Sorry about that. So it looks like our qualifying order, we have Jamie or Ghostworks qualifying in first. Moving down the list, we have Shane in second, Mike in third, Steven in fourth, and Akoka in fifth. See if I can pull up the timing board for you guys very quick. All right, and so we cannot see the top 2 times, but it looks like Mike qualified in third with a 1 minute 53 lap time. Looks like Steven Scordo qualified in fourth with a 1 minute 58, and then qualifying at the back of the grid in fifth was Akoka in fifth with a 206. All right, and so we do have a minute and a half left until the race starts. So while we wait, I'll just talk to you guys a little bit about the track. So we are at Miami International Autodrome for this week, and the basis for this league is that as the weeks progressed, drivers would get in more modern tracks. So they started in late 60s tracks and then moved up to the 90s. Last week they were in the early 2000s era with the Turkish Grand Prix track, Istanbul Park, and now we are in the most recent, one of the most recent F1 tracks to be released, Miami International Autodrome, located in Miami, Florida, United States. This track is a very unique track because it's I believe the only F1 track in history to be raced actually around a stadium. So this track is raced around Hard Rock Stadium, which is host of the Miami Dolphins. It also hosts many other events, such as concerts. I believe it hosted a big Beyonce concert not too long ago, as well as I believe Bad Bunny performed there. So a lot of big artists, big venue, but the track is an even bigger venue. You have over 300,000 to 400,000 attendees throughout the weekend during the Miami Grand Prix race. So this is the same track that is raced, in the F1 races. Track is 3.3 miles, but I'll pause there on the story of the track, and I will get you guys looking at the drivers. So this is the start of the race. Good luck, everyone, and it is lights out and away we go. So you'll see Mike getting a fast start. Mike qualifying third, but looks like he jumped ahead of Shane. And looks like Mike going late on the brakes into turn 1. Loses all his spots. I think Mike will be back. I think Mike actually just heard Mike hit the clutch pedal by accident. So Mike going way past that turn, goes from third, moved up to second for fifth. Looks like he might have even got first, but drops back to fifth, and he was already able to get an overtake for fourth place. So we're now on board with Jaime Ghostworks, who's in second place. Jaime is 6/10 behind Shane. This is the battle for first place. You see our drivers going through the beautiful track, beautiful streets of Miami. This is again going around Hard Rock Stadium. So track is 3.3 miles long. You have 19 17 turns, plenty of turns to make mistakes, but also plenty of turns to strategize, make some time over drivers even if they're way out in front of you. But we're gonna go back on board with Jaime as he remains close to Shane. But other than that, this track has 11 right turns, 8 left-hand turns, so a pretty even split between the two turns, which means tire wear should be relatively even between the two, although it is very hot in Miami, Florida, so I do expect tire degradation to go on a little quicker than normal. We are going to quickly go on board with Mike. Looks like the battle for P1 and the battle for P3 is both super close, but I think Mike will be looking to make a move on Steven down here on the straight. Mike goes down on the inside. Looks like both drivers lock up a little bit. Steven misses his braking point and Mike will get the overtake. So a pretty comfortable move there by Mike for P3. Doesn't have to do much. It looks like Steven may have panicked a little bit seeing Mike in his rearview mirror and misses the braking point by 5 or 6 yards is all it takes for Mike to get the overtake. Looks like Jaime still remains close. This is the battle for first. So Jaime sits 2/10 behind Shane, looking to make a move up the first few turns of the track. But other than that, it looks like Jaime actually makes a surprising move up on the inside over Shane and is able to stick the move. So Shane is now 5/10 back. Looks like Shane may have messed up on those 2 or 3 turns, and that cost him first. So Jaime now leads the race. We have Shane in second, Mike in third, followed by Steven and Coca in fifth. So for those who don't know about the history of the track, this track is again raced in F1. This track debuted in 2022, where it raced on the F1 calendar. It was also accounted with a cup practice sort of feeder race from the Porsche Cup race there the first 2 years, I believe. I believe this year the Lamborghini Super Trofeo race there. So we have many different cup races that go there in addition to F1. But a little bit into the more technical aspects of the track, you have turn 1, which will be a tight right-hand turn, as you saw from Mike, who completely missed his braking point. Unfortunately, pressed the clutch instead of the brake, and lost all his spots right there on turn 1. Moving further down the track on turn 11, will be right after your long straightaway. This will be a heavy braking zone, another key overtaking spot for drivers, as we saw Mike, who got an overtake on Steven not too long ago right on turn 11. And then finally, sector 3 of the track, our highlight turn would be turn 17, which is our final hairpin before the start-finish line. This makes for some last-minute lunges, last-second lunges from some of the drivers. It's also, drivers get overexcited, especially in the last lap or 2 of the race. They may plan to make their overtakes on this turn, so we should see some action in turn 17, but we have already seen some action in turn 1 and turn 11. But other than that, I would say personally driving this track on our league car, which is the Lotus 72D, my personal sector that I feel is the hardest would be the second sector. The sector is twisty, very narrow, makes it hard for drivers to go side by side. This is turns 13 and 16 to be specific, but you have a little bit of high speed, but mixed with a good amount of slow speed. So you don't see all the turns as you see there. Shane going down the turn, a little bit of decline there makes it tough for drivers to see their turns, and especially harder for them to plan their overtakes. But other than that, the track limits are fairly strict in this track. There are some tight chicanes that are pretty easy to blow by, pretty easy to accumulate penalties. So our drivers are going to make sure that although they're battling for positions, they want to make sure they avoid any of those slowdown penalties costs. But going a bit into the strategy and tire wear of these cars. So this car has two options. You have the soft and medium compound tires, but all our drivers are elected to go with the soft tire. Soft tire does last for a whole race, so I believe all drivers went with the soft, at least they should have, but hopefully none of our drivers went with the medium, because the pit stops also are not required, so drivers can make sure that they set their fuel accordingly. And then we haven't had any issues with fuel, so looks like all drivers don't need to make any pit stops. Drivers haven't made any pit stops so far in this race, although they have before. And actually, I think I spoke too soon because looks like Akoka just came out of the pits. I was actually distracted looking at our live lap timing that I didn't realize Akoka pitted for, looks like, repairs. So I was just getting ready to say that's the only thing drivers would need to pit for in this race is for repairs. Damage is fully on, so these cars are the wings. I found that the rear wings don't fall off, but the front wing especially is very prone to damage. They won't necessarily fall off, but it'll get very damaged and dented. And I've seen drivers lose up all the way from a few tenths all the way up to 1 or 2 seconds just on one straightaway alone. So I think Akoka made the smart move by pitting early, making sure she wasn't limited in her car's ability. She hopefully, if she made her pit stop right, she now has a fully functioning car. Looks like she flew past that turn. And we'll see if she's able to get back on pace, but at the moment it looks like she is struggling, so hopefully she'll be able to get back in the rhythm. Doesn't look like she's too far back behind Steven, and there is 37 minutes left in the race, so plenty of time for her to bounce back. And Steven does look like right now his lap times are a bit inconsistent, so Steven can improve at any point, but he can also make a mistake at any point. It's there's a lot of time left in the race, and it's a tough track, so don't know what can happen. There you see Jaime and Shane going down the under the Pirelli bridge. Completing the last sector of the lap. Under the Hard Rock Bridge. Makes his way down turns 14 and 15. This will be one of the harder parts of the track as he makes his sharp left-hand turn, goes down the straight. This straight is 203 straight, so you'll see high speed. 72D reaches speeds of just over 170. Looks like he's right at 173 as he brakes around the 250 board. Then you'll see him turning left. This is now turns 18 and 19, known as the Taylor S's, which is the start-finish line. So there you have a little breakdown of sector 2 and 3. We will remain on board with Jaime for the rest of this lap as I take you guys on board, bring you guys a little breakdown of the track. This is now going down the Marino Complex. This is 1, 2, 3. Just slight turn into it. Don't have to work too much. As you see them getting down into Hard Rock. This is turns 4, 5, and 6, where you'll then approach the Pirelli Bridge, where turn 6 will be a slight bit of a sharp left-hander, and then will be approaching. So it's actually a bit of a controversial part of the track for some fans, but we'll see a bit. This is where Miami thinks they're artificial track. So many fans not artificial track, artificial pool. Many F1 fans weren't a fan of this for very good reason. It was basically a pool that wasn't filled with water. It had multi-million, sometimes almost yachts reaching hundreds of $1 millions. Just essentially parked on a parking lot to look at the pool. But that's definitely a hairpin from the second sector of the track. That's one of the weird parts of this track. It was controversial track from the start, being that it was, I believe, the 4th U.S. track to be placed on the F1 calendar. Many F1 fans, especially those in Europe started to become have some unrest over all the U.S. tracks that were coming up out of nowhere. In the past, I thought we're used to some of the more typical circuits, such as Kialami. We've seen some of our other popular circuits even get considered to be taken off the calendar. I believe one of the Japanese tracks was removed at one point. Japanese track Suzuka may have gotten extended, but I know at one point they were talking about removing it. But big controversy has been all the additions of U.S. tracks, Miami being one of them. But I will say, out of all the U.S. tracks that have come into light, Miami is one of the more traditional circuits. It's not one of the tighter street circuits that you may see in a track such as Vegas. I would say Vegas is probably one of the hardest U.S. circuits to drive. Definitely not a circuit. It's more of a street style, directly throughout the streets of downtown Las Vegas. Although Miami is considered to be a street track, I definitely see it to be definitely more of a typical circuit as opposed to a tighter street track where you can't really see the turns, you have high walls, etc. So it's a 3.3-mile track, so plenty of space for drivers to show the full speed of this car. Also, plenty of turns. We have 19 turns, so plenty of turns for drivers to make mistakes going down these straights. We have long straights, so the car reaches high speeds, which does make it more prone to not only lockups down the hard braking points, but also just unrest in the car. This isn't the most modern F1 car, but it does have very good handling. But some of these drivers will see that it does wiggle at some points. But I will say I have been very surprised to see the duration of the league. Again, we're now in week 5, so throughout the duration of the league, all our drivers have been able to maintain their course on track. We haven't seen too many spins. I would say we've seen a few incidents, but other than that, it's been very clean racing, especially for an F1 car. This car is in the lower power end compared to some of our other F1s. So, being that this is an early 70s car, which is actually made by Lotus, this car is rated at 450 horsepower, so very manageable for drivers. You don't have too much lagging in the power output of the engine. You don't have ABS or traction control, which does mean drivers will lock up the front sometimes, especially because the default setup is more geared for the front brake bias. But other than that, the traction has been pretty easy for the drivers. And it looks like Jaime has been able to manage the car the best. Has now pulled 4 seconds ahead of Shane. So we're on board with Mike. Mike also has a bit of a gap both in front and behind him. Looks like Mike is now in third. Mike has 19 seconds in front and about 40 seconds gap behind. So still, again, plenty of time for drivers to make mistakes. But for now, I think the gaps are looking pretty good for drivers. But it does look like Mike blows past the chicane. I think he'll be seeing a slowdown for that one. We'll make sure that he serves that if he does get it so that he doesn't get disqualified. But definitely a big cut by Mike. We will make sure that he doesn't do it again. But other than that, looks like Mike has been able to keep it on track, keep it clean. So I'll stay quiet for a few minutes, keep you guys on board with Mike for a lap or two as he brings you through the streets of Miami International Autodrome in the Lotus 72B. All right, sorry about that. So we are back on board with Akoka. Coca is currently sitting in fifth, but I'm actually gonna jump over to Steven, who looks like he's sitting in the pits at the moment. If I can. It's like something may have happened to Steven. What happened? Did you shut off or? Like the time ended. Said you had time. I'm sorry. I'll give you the points before. All right, so we are back. So unfortunately, it looks like Steven had an issue with the sim. It shut off. So Steven was in fourth at the moment, and he did have a big gap in front of him and behind him. So although the race was, about halfway through, we still had 20 minutes left. It was an unfortunate circumstance. So Steven will be getting the points for fourth place in that race. But other than that, Akoka will, currently remain in fifth unless she is able to pass Mike in third. And in that case, then she would make up both of those positions. But we have Mike sitting now in third with a 22-second gap in front. And moving down the list, we are now on board with Shane. Shane is sitting in second place. Shane has an 8-second gap in front of him. So it looks like Jaime or Ghostworks was able to make up a pretty good gap in the, about the 20, 25 minutes since the start of the race. He originally had about a 1.5 second gap after lap 2 and lap 3, but now he's built it up to an 8 second gap. So looks like Jaime will be sitting comfortably in first. We'll take a look at their best lap times. So we see Shane has a 150.6, and Jaime's fastest lap is a 150.1. So about 5/10 quicker on Jaime's fastest lap in comparison to Shane. Their last lap, Jaime got a 51.4, and Shane was just under a tenth quicker at a 51.3. So Shane is still in the race. We still have 18 minutes left. I think the two of them may possibly be lapping Akoka or maybe even Mike at some point in this race. So that could possibly slow down either drivers or possibly both of them. But still plenty of room for error. This is a tough track, so either driver can make an unforced error as well. But we're going to continue to go on board with Shane for a bit as he makes his way down the long straight and approaches sector 3. This is now turn 17 as he wraps his way around the hairpin, approaches the Taylor S's, makes his way back to the start-finish line. And we'll see what Shane's last lap time was, see if he can make up the time. But as of right now, I think Jaime's sitting pretty well in first. Looks like he brought his gap up a little bit further. Coca making her way down the straightaway. Looks like she'll be approaching our last few turns. So at the moment, Akoka's best lap is a 59.6. We'll see what her best lap was as she goes slightly wide, almost taps the wall, but is just able to make it out with no damage. Looks like that'll be a 2:01.5 for her. So still off the pace, but definitely better than her last lap. She still has 16 minutes to bring down her lap times, possibly improve if she can. But I think Mike will be able to hold off third if he can just remain on track. It's looked pretty good for Mike so far. He hasn't had too many spins. Looks like he's also avoided any damage to his car. So I think Mike will hopefully be able to finish out this race strong, but he's in third at the moment. I think he'll be able to hold that off. And I think all our other positions may be remaining the same as well. So Shane still remains in second, although looking at the live timing, he did make up 2 seconds within the last minute or so. So we won't be counting Shane out yet. His last lap time was a 1:52 in comparison to Jaime's, which was a 51.1. So I think that difference in lap time may have just been down to the differences in the sector of the track that they were at. Our live timing could also be slightly off by a few tenths. So these are, if you don't know, these are old F1 cars. These are from the early 70s era, made by Lotus. This car is known as the Lotus 72D, driven it debuted in 71, won many championships, was also one of the most revolutionary F1 cars of the time, being the first F1 car in history to introduce side pods, which are those little, or big, if you will, cutouts on the side of the car. But these are old cars, so with that, the timing system is a little dated, so maybe off by a tenth or so. So we do apologize if there's any inconsistencies in the lap timing, but they will be generally about the correct time that is actually, there from the drivers. But we do have 14 minutes left in the race. Just taking a walk around the the sim center right now to check for any damage on the cars. But if those for those who have never been here, or for those who have never heard of Apex One, we are a sim racing lounge located in Westfield, New Jersey. So we have 20 sims in total, four different types of sims. All of them have motion made by Cubic Systems, but some sims will have more motion than others. So all our sims offer many different driving experiences. We are, our sims are made to replicate real life driving, although we do have difficulties to make it easier. But we replicate all driving styles from rally racing to drifting. We also do street racing where you can, experience highways or some of the world famous racetracks in, maybe your own personal car or maybe even your favorite supercar. So I'll say one of mine. One of mine is the Vipers, the V10 Dodge Viper. So I personally, every once in a while, love taking that car out on track. There's tracks like we have the Nordschleife, Spa, Watkins Glen, many more. So all the world-renowned tracks, those that you love and have watched on TV, we have all those to experience, your favorite cars. We also do have F1 cars in addition to GT cars. So we have some of the slower GT cars that we offer include some of the cars like the Cup cars such as the GR86. We also have the BMW M2 CS. And then I would say one of our slowest and easiest cars to drive is the MX-5 Cup. We've also recently introduced some newer or older actually cars that are track-oriented cars, a bit easier to drive. They are the British touring cars. So we have all of them from the Ford Sierra Cosworth to the Mitsubishi Galant, all the cars from the late 80s and early, mid, and late 90s era that some of you may know and love. We also do offer that here at Apex One. So plenty of things here. We also have plenty of events throughout the week and especially throughout these summer months. So some of our events include car shows. We host many car shows in our parking lot right out here located on South Ave in Westfield, New Jersey. So we've partnered with some car groups such as Scripted Club. We've also done some with Empire Motor Club, Next Gen, and our next one will actually be on July 13th. This will be one of our bigger events of the year. It is called the Rotary Rebuilds 2 event, and this will be a live Rotary Rebuild event that happens right here in Apex One. One of our employees, Eli, will be rebuilding 3, possibly 4 rotary engines right here inside Apex. It'll be again on July 13th. It'll be 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. So in addition to the Rotary Rebuild, which will be happening inside, we will also have many vendors. So we're going to have some car clothing vendors. We're also going to have coffee from Carfe Auto Amore. We're also going to have food trucks outside, many amazing display cars, such as we might have some Skylines, definitely some Rotary cars, some other JDMs and more. So if you guys want to check that out, that'll be our Rotary Rebuild event. You guys can follow us on Instagram, apex1.nj. But other than that, some of our other events besides car shows, we do Formula One watch parties. So we try to show them for all the races, whether they're, for those of you on the East Coast, the F1 races are usually super early. So we do try to show all the races, whether they start at 9 or 10 a.m. We also do show some of the late ones like Vegas. We did the Vegas F1 watch party last year, which started at 12 p.m., ran all the way past 3 a.m. So we still did host one for that. So if you guys are interested, we also do sell tickets on our website for those. But tickets will be $30 to $40 depending on the event. And that includes an hour of sim racing. That includes, spots to watch the F1 race with other fans on one of our many couches. So you can watch it on our projectors. And then in some of our races, that'll also include food. So our next F1 watch party will be the Austrian Grand Prix. So that's, of course, one of the more known, one of the more favorite tracks of the F1 calendar being at Red Bull Ring. So we will be doing a watch party for that race. That'll be this Sunday, actually. And again, if you guys are interested in that, just make sure to follow our Instagram, check out the links in our bios, or just visit our website. You could search up Apex 1 NJ on Google, find our website, and find the tickets on there. But other than that, we also do league racing, which is what you guys are watching right now. We do Formula One leagues as well as GT racing leagues. So our next GT league will actually be starting in about 3 weeks now. The pre-registration form is also posted throughout our Instagram. So again, if you guys want to stay in the loop with everything we do here at Apex One, just make sure you follow us on Instagram to, if you want to sign up for one of our GT leagues or attend any of our events or just see what we're doing here at Apex. Just make sure to follow us. And, if you guys want to see more of this type of broadcasting like this, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel and hit the bell to make sure you get notifications of when we go live. We'll be doing this every week. So F1 League will be wrapping up next week. That'll be the last week. But we will be going live again tomorrow for week 1 of 3 of our newest competition, which is the Sim Center Cup. So this is one of the competitions that I'm actually more excited for here at Apex One. This will be one of the few, continental U.S. nationwide competitions that we do. There will be four other sim centers involved, making it 5 sim centers in total. So should make for a great competition. All drivers will be driving in any GT3 car of their choice. So the other sim centers involved will be Super Lap, RPM Rush, Speed Hub, and Race Mode. So if any of you guys are watching this broadcast, welcome guys, and make sure to tune in again tomorrow to watch the full broadcast of our Sim Center Cup race. But a little bit more info about the Cup. This will be a 3-week series. We're going to have about 24 total drivers on the grid. We have 10 drivers representing Apex One, and week 1 will be at the Charlotte Roval. Although will be a different layout. It'll actually be the 2018 layout, which makes the first chicane not as sharp, which means drivers no longer have to press the brakes hard. Instead, all they need to do is just get off the gas, coast a little bit, and send it into the chicane. With that being said, there are going to be 24 drivers on the grid, and it is a very tight track, so I do expect a lot of chaos. So definitely recommend for you guys to tune in tomorrow at same time here, 8 p.m. So we will be live at Apex One, New Jersey. But I will be quiet for a bit. We're actually going to take a look here as Jaime gets past Shane down the straight. The two of them were going back and forth. Looks like Jaime looks to make a move on the inside. We have Shane sitting wide. Shane still sits super tight behind Jaime. We have 6 minutes left in the race. This is the battle for first. Looks like Shane was able to make up his gap, but Jaime is still fighting back. Jaime was able to get his spot back, and it looks like Shane is coming back for more. Goes to make a move up on the inside, but is unable to complete it. We're going to go on board with Shane here as he approaches Jaime down the straight. There you see Shane looking to hit all his apexes as he makes it under the Pirelli 150 bridge, under the Salesforce, approaches the straightaway. You see he passes the palm trees, now approaching turn 10, I believe, which is Marlin's, going down the 199 straightaway, and looks like he blows past his braking point, misses turn 11. Looks like he was going to be able to make a move on Jaime for a second, but loses about a second and a half in the process. Very ambitious move from Shane. Definitely did not pay off. That was a tough turn 11 from Shane, and it looks like he messes up again on one of the most important corners, turn 16, as he makes his way down the straight. I think he'll be losing, be down a few miles per hour here on Jaime, but looks like there's now a 2.5 second gap between the drivers. Shane still has 4 minutes left to fight back, but it's a good quick battle between the two of them. Jaime's able to hold off on his spot, but before we end, I will leave you guys with a quick commercial break, and I will be right back with the conclusion of the race.
Hi, my name is Julie from Apex One, and we own the most realistic high-end racing simulators in Westfield, New Jersey. The fun goes beyond racing. We're also a lounge, so don't be afraid to bring your friends and family to join the fun. We host private events such as birthday parties, corporate events, and team building. Throughout the year, we have many events such as F1 watch parties, cars and coffee, and many more. Don't worry, we accept walk-ins whenever you have that itch to race or want to experience something new. Membership packages are also available. We offer black, gold, and platinum memberships. You're one seat away from racing your dream car at a fraction of the price. Whether you're into GT, Formula, drifting, or other racing, we got you covered. So book your racing session or next event now at apex1-nj.com.
I don't believe it, baby. I know you lied.
And we're going to take a look back on board with Shane as we approach the final 3 minutes of the race. Looks like Shane unfortunately hasn't been able to make up his time on Jaime. So Shane's still sitting with a 3.5 second gap. I think that'll be all our positions secured for the race, but still a little bit of time left for anything to happen. I think Mike will be able to hold on to third place. Looks like he has a 1:11 gap in front of him, where Shane sits in second. And then it looks like Akoka is about 3 laps behind Mike. We're going to go on board with Akoka, who I believe is pitting for repairs. Yeah, you'll see, look at that. You'll see her steering wheel is turned about, I would say about 100 degrees to the right, and her car's going perfectly straight. So she's making her way, I think, out of the pits, but I don't know if her car is fully repaired. So yeah, there you still see it. Her wheel looks like it's bugged a bit, but I think her wheel is not centered. I think she still has extreme damage to the front of her car. I'm also looking on board with Mike. I think Mike is off track at the moment. I think Mike had a big off track. Looks like he took a while to recover, but is now back on track. So hopefully Mike will be able to hold on to his spot. See Mike going into the wall. We're gonna take a look what happened with Mike. I think he may have some car damage. So I was just taking a look on Mike's screen, making sure he had no sim problems. Looks like he just had severe damage to his car. We're going to go on board with Mike on this last lap. But there you see it. His wheel is turned almost 180 degrees, and his car is going completely straight. So I think one of his steering rods may be completely disconnected. But we'll see Mike blowing by the turn. I don't know if he'll be able to complete the last lap, but he still sits 1 lap in front of Akoka. was actually somehow able to manage to slide it through. But that is definitely a miracle for Mike, somehow making his way around the track for the last lap, able to finish the race in the pit lane. So kudos to Mike for bringing it in for the finish of the race. I think that was it at least. We'll see Jaime. Jaime's actually still on his last lap, so I think that was white flag. So again, Mike's still sat well in front of Akoka, so I don't think he'll be losing his spot in the pit lane. I also see Mike having a little bit of maybe communication issues, figuring out where his pit crew is located. I don't think Mike will be able to fix his car in time to be able to cross the line. But looks like Jaime crosses the line, Shane crosses the line, and we'll go on board with Akoka for her last lap. But looks like Mike will unfortunately finish the race in the pit lane. Great race from Jaime. I know Jaime was actually battling a muscle injury on his hand. So great result from Jaime, managing a win in the race. Shane was about a second and a half behind. Good battle between the two of them. We saw the two of them go side by side for a bit. So great job from both drivers, keeping it clean and keeping it on track. And congratulations to Jaime, and also good job to Shane for securing second place. But looks like there's also severe damage to Akoka's car, but she'll be able to bring it in for P4. Although Steven did have his issues when he was far ahead, so I will say Akoka will be brought down to P5 in the race. Steven will be promoted to P4 due to the issue that he had with his sim and the big gap that he had. And other than that, we have Mike getting on the podium, so P3 for Mike, good race for him. And again, we have Shane in second, and then Jaime winning the race. So we'll see if we can really quick pull up the lap times of the drivers. So there we have it. Best lap of the race we have from Ghostworks or Jaime with a 150.1. Just 3/10 behind was Shane. His best lap of the race was a 150.4. So it looks like Jaime will be getting the full sweep this week. 20 points for first place, plus an additional point for fastest lap of the race. Shane will be getting 17 points for third, and then Mike will be getting 15 for third. So again, congrats to all our drivers, and it was a nice clean race from everyone. We saw a few spins here and there, but it is a tough track. But I think the best takeaway from the night was the clean racing, and most importantly, all drivers seemed to enjoy themselves throughout the race. So again, if you guys are interested in this sort of league environment here at Apex One, this is a smaller league due to the short notice of the F1 League announcement, but we are hoping to make our next F1 League, much bigger. Hopefully, potentially getting some other sim centers involved. So stay tuned for more info on that. But if you guys would like to watch our next broadcast, we'll be live tomorrow for our first week of the Sim Center Cup. So other than that, this was Michael, and I will be signing off. So week 6 will be same time, same day, next Wednesday at 8 p.m. And I appreciate all you guys for watching the broadcast. And I will see you guys all tomorrow for the Sim Cup and next week for the season finale of the Apex One inaugural Formula One Racing League.